It's Friday. You know what time it is. Front Runner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince. And on today's pod, we will be breaking down Game 5. What happened? Where did the Indiana offense go? Was there a Freaky Friday situation that happened? We will get into all of it. The other thing that we need to talk about is now that OKC has moved on to the NBA Finals, and we will have a lot of time to discuss what it's going to look like when the finals do come around, when this series in the Eastern Conference is finally over. So we don't really need to talk about OKC that much, but who we do need to talk about is the Minnesota Timberwolves and what they are going to do. And this is going to be kind of a sneak peek into what summer looks like for you and for me as we go through and do the division by division breakdown of some of these teams and what to look for come the off season. But we did promise draft talk. We promised breakdowns and what have you. We will actually have that for you. We are doing guards today. So if you're looking for Dylan Harper, you will come to the right place. If you're looking for Jeremiah Fears, you will come to the right place. If you are looking for our guy out of Florida with one of the sweetest jump shots on the face of the planet, you will come to the right place. Plus, we got some other guys who might be cracking rotations here and there and what we think of them. So that's all coming up on the pod today. So with that being said, I just want to take this time to tell all of the audience out there how much we appreciate you. Man, it is ridiculous. We got downloads from Grenada. Grenada of all places. We also got downloads from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Yes, we have hit there too. So when I say that we are global, ladies and gentlemen, we are global. I love it. Thank you so much. It's because of you. Word of mouth is happening. We have not spent a dime on promoting this podcast. We have not gone to Google and said, hey, can you bump us up? We have not gone to Twitter, say, can we promote this tweet or post or whatever the case may be. It's all word of mouth. So the reason why the pod is across the ocean now has nothing to do with this cat right here. This has to do with the mantra that we kind of sneakily stole from Pat McAfee. So, Pat, sorry about that, my guy. But be a friend, tell a friend about the podcast. Thank you so much. If you're doing that, continue to do it. It is a strong way to get the podcast out there. The other way to get the podcast out there is come to Twitter. At FrontRunnerPC. Also at Rhea_Funch FRPC are the Twitter handles. Please engage with us there. If you do, and there's a comment that we really like, it'll end up on the show. I got a couple DMs that are end up on the show. So shout out to a couple people out there. And with that being said, we gonna hit this pod. So let me turn off the IG Live real quick because I let the peoples in on it. We are in the mix. We start at Madison Square Garden. This is where we need to start. Game 5. Flip the whole damn script. 2 nights earlier, Indy, Halliburton looked like the best guard on the floor. But back in MSG, he just got erased. Or as my guy, Matt Hardy would say, he got deleted. He got deleted. Shouts out to Matt and Jeff Hardy. TNA. You know what I'm saying? WWE legends. The Hardy Boys. You know. If you know, you know. Meanwhile, Jalen Brunson, whose game 4 was very quiet, he reminded everyone why the Knicks, he is the alpha of this team. So it was truly opposite day in MSG. We're going to break it all down for you. Let's get to it. Halliburton's stats for Game 5 were absolutely ugly. 8 points on 2 of 7 shooting. 2 of 7. We will get to that in 1 second. He also shot 0-2 from three-point land, 4 assists, and he was a negative 23 in his box plus minus. He played 31 minutes and 34 seconds. Didn't have a turnover, though, which is what he does. So let's start with Halliburton. What happened? What happened in Game 5? Let's look at it. Well, he wasn't cold. He wasn't out of rhythm. He was basically hounded from the time he got onto the MSG floor to the time he left MSG floor. There was a concerted effort in making sure that he was very uncomfortable with the ball, not trying to deny him the ball. All of those things came. Halliburton only had 1 assist in the first half, despite being Indiana's lead guard. Knicks sent multiple looks at him. OG, Hart, Mikal Bridges, a lot of people, even Cat. I'm like, what is Cat doing on him? You know, and we'll get to Cat in a second. Brunson hedging screens and what have you. He didn't register a single field goal in the first quarter, going 0 for 2. It's wild. Game 4, he danced into looks. In this one, he couldn't initiate at all. The Knicks made him play east-west instead of downhill. And I believe that this is something that the Knicks can duplicate. Now, you got to want this. You got to have the energy to do this. And if they don't come out with the same effort, they come out with the same energy that they did in Game 5, for Game 6 in Gamebridge Fieldhouse, this is going to be a wrap. But we'll get to that momentarily. Now, we told you it was kind of like a Freaky Friday opposite day at MSG. So, Brunson, Jalen Brunson of the Knicks, who had a very quiet Game 4, exploded onto the scene yet again. 32 points on a very efficient 12 of 18 from the field. He also shot it 4 of 7 from three-point land, and he was a plus 18 in box plus minus in 33 minutes and 40 seconds of play. Why is this important? Now, the contrast with Brunson, this wasn't just a bounce back. This was a master control. 14 first quarter points, efficient, confident, and it was a balanced shot diet. Here's a note from my girl, Soraya. Jalen Brunson scored 14 of the Knicks' total 27 points in the first quarter. So he had over half of the Knicks' points. So that's awesome. I love that. I like seeing that. It's pretty cool. He went 6-9 in the first quarter, including 2 threes. He set the tone by attacking Miles Turner in drop coverage. Yeah, he was ugly. He was getting downhill, and he was making it happen. He was touching the paint a lot, which is critical for what the Knicks need to do, because of the fact that they do not allow a lot of on-ball initiation by others. And I think even was it one of the Van Gundy brothers, not Jeff? What is it? Oh God, I can't remember his name. Anyways, oh yeah, SVG. So we got some analysis from the TNT crew as far as that's concerned, but before we get there, it was not about the scoring for Jalen Brunson. Here's a big deal. He only had 1 turnover all game. Handling the ball is his primary situation. He was the one, the conductor, controlling the train, controlling the orchestra, however you want to put it. We usually use that terminology for our guy Halliburton. But Brunson, it was apropos that he actually did this. He only had one turnover. And it wasn't just scoring, it was poise. Brunson played like someone who knew exactly what the defense wanted to give him, and he tried to take every inch from them. And he did. He imposed his will onto this game very early. He imprinted himself onto this game very early. And you got to do that in a must-win situation. Let's be clear. The Garden mattered last night. It erupted. It was lit. You saw all the stars out. You know what I'm saying? You saw Spike Lee. You saw Timothée Chalamet looking, just superstar written all over him. Miles Teller was there, which was kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? He was out there in the seats. We had a lot of people out there. Ben Stiller was there. Now, will Ben Stiller go back for Game 6? I don't know. We will see. Indiana never led in this game. Another key point. Knicks' biggest lead was 22. The Pacers never tied the game once. New York scored 60 points in the paint compared to the Pacers' 34. There it is. That physical edge broke Indy's interior trust. The Knicks had 13 second chance points off 11 offensive rebounds. The hustle at MSG was appreciated. Josh Hart was in the middle of that yet again. We will get to some of his accolades and what he did in some of the next segments going on. But the swing from Game 4 to Game 5, it wasn't just the emotional switch in going from Game Fieldhouse to MSG. It wasn't just that. Ryan Russillo says this all the time, and I want to give him credit for this. He says, you can't fake desperate. You cannot fake desperation. And the Knicks' desperation, it was structural. The Knicks trapped early, showed help late, played vertical with Mitchell Robinson. And here's the best part, and these are the notes from Soraya. The Pacers had 19 turnovers, which led to 20 Knicks points. Indiana shot 44.6% effective field goal percentage, and they went 10 of 30 from deep. Brunson and Towns carried their team 22 of 38, high efficiency on high volume from those two. And again, they win the game. They get it 3-2. And I don't think that this was just a win. I think this could be like a referendum on just effort on the defensive end, the attention to detail. And I think the Knicks finally understand what it takes from them to win the game. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that they're going to be able to pull this off in Game 6. As we talk this through, I will give you my opinion on what's going to happen. But I did see that, okay, there's a plan. There's an actual philosophy on slowing down the Indiana Pacers. And I will say this, Indiana did their job in helping that along too. They didn't push the pace as much as they should. I thought that once they got punched in the mouth and they knew that New York wasn't just going to just bend and fold for them and allow them back into this game, I think you saw a team that said, well, we'll just get ready for Game 6. Not saying they truly packed it in, but I will say you saw the energy level go a little bit further down. So let's talk about one of the adjustments that has made a big dividend for the Knicks. And that's the dual Twin Towers look that they're using. This felt like a throwback for show. The Knicks played two bigs, real bigs. Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns were out there. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns, because of his shooting prowess and his acumen, allows Mitchell Robinson just to hang out in the dunker spot and play that four out, one in, and give them enough spacing to be able to do what they need to do. Then on the defensive end, you got a true rim protector. You got a true guy who has some girth in there who wants to rebound. Cat does too. Not trying to hate on Cat right now, but of the two, we definitely understand that Mitchell Robinson is the more physical. We got some classic Karl-Anthony Towns last night too. Now the offense was beautiful. Cat, like old Cat, reared his ugly head. There were some fouls there were some fouls by Karl-Anthony Towns that just made you scratch your damn head. Like, what are you doing? Like, it was completely a push off. It wasn't even like trying to be hid, anything like that. And then you put your palms out to the sky like, what I do? Bro, we just saw you push somebody. Like, legitimately, like, extend your arms and push somebody. Again, we made this point about them being outscored 60-34 in the paint, Indiana. That wasn't just guard penetration. That was Towns ducking in. That was Mitchell Robinson cleaning up. Also, it was Karl-Anthony Towns going to the hole repeatedly, punishing Miles Turner, punishing Pascal Siakam, just blowing by them like they weren't even there. The Knicks won the second chance points 13-7. They also pulled down 11 offensive rebounds. Robinson himself had 4 offensive boards in under 20 minutes. The Indiana Pacers themselves had 2 blocks as a team total. So you can see that there was a team that had a lot more energy and a lot more at stake. And you saw a team that was like, well, if we don't win this one, we can go home. Different mentality between OKC and the Indiana Pacers. Now, albeit OKC was playing their game 5 at home, and the Indiana Pacers were playing theirs on the road. So there's a big difference there as well. And you knew that Madison Square Garden was going to supply the energy that the Knicks needed. And especially Karl-Anthony Towns, who finished the game with 24 points, 13 rebounds. He was a plus 26 in the box plus minus in 30 minutes. But then you get into those 2 moments every game that remind you who he is. The 4th foul that happened with 5 minutes and 9 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. On a moving screen at the top of the arc, he just pushes this dude. Like, I'm like, what? Okay. I just didn't understand it. I just didn't understand what he was doing there. And then he was asked by Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal after the game during the post-game show on TNT, one of the best out there, you know that. And he was like, I know I made stupid fouls. He's aware of it. He just can't stop himself. He needs to go to a rehab program for that. I'm telling you straight up. Somebody needs to take that guy in and take him to some sort of thing called like Passages or something like that, and see if they can get him to fix the stupid foul situation that he got going on. It's crazy. He did finish the game with 4 fouls. So there was that. It didn't cost him this time, but you can't shake off the feeling that if this game was tighter, Mitchell Robinson is in the game, affecting the game, impacting it, and then Rick Carlisle goes to the hack of Robinson to get him off the court because he was so dominant on the defensive end and grabbing rebounds. You had to get rid of him. So here's where, if the lead wasn't as big and robust as it was, the Knicks would have been in real trouble if for some reason the Indiana Pacers were able to come back and make that a game. So that's the thing with Cat that we got to continue to monitor, is that he gives you a bunch of points. He gives you the spacing you need. He gives you rebounding. But there's going to be 3 to 4 sequences in a game where you are just going to go, no, Cat, don't do it. This is what Minnesota fans has been dealing with for a long period of time, and now this is what the Knicks have inherited from Karl-Anthony Towns. There's just 4 plays a game where it is absolutely incredible that this man is like, what are you thinking about right now? Just tell me what you're thinking about. Now, let's flip it to Mitchell Robinson, because he was kind of like an unsung hero of this game. Even though he only played 20 minutes, he had no turnovers. He had a steal, he had a block, and he altered probably a half a dozen shots. Mitchell Robinson also had a positive 12 box plus minus in his shifts, and you could tell that nobody wanted any parts of him in that lane. Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, it didn't make a difference. We live in a 5-out league, but this was a game where going to the hole was prevalent. I mean, you saw some just Karl-Anthony Towns lumbering into the hole was like looking like at a truck with like a one tire being flatter than the rest of them. It just looked wonky, but he made it work. He made it work, which was good. Miles Turner took 5 threes. He made 1. He never punished switches at the top like Karl-Anthony Towns did. So, if the formula holds, paint domination by Cat, staying disciplined, Mitch rotating clean, New York Knicks might have a chance in Game 6. That's why I said this is a repeatable situation, what they were able to do. Now, here's the other thing. Aaron Nesmith has an ankle injury, and he only played 15 minutes in this game. Now, I'm not saying he would have had the prerequisite energy to be able to play the physical style of defense, but I will say this. Brunson was absolutely thrilled as soon as Aaron Nesmith was out the game. He was like, oh, I can go cook. Now, I can get it. Because Andrew Nembhard does not bother him. Tyrese Halliburton doesn't bother him. TJ McConnell doesn't bother him. So, it's only Nesmith that really gives him any kind of pause. So, if that's going to be the case, and we got to see Game 6 happens on Saturday, which is tomorrow, we will have to see how much Aaron Nesmith plays. We will have to see how much he can actually guard Brunson. And also, they need his outside shooting. Because they were 10 of 30, again, from the land of 3. Now, I want to talk about what kept the Indiana Pacers from scoring like a historically low amount of points. Benedict Mathurin came alive. He had a bunch of energy. He had glass work. You know what I'm saying? He was the bench igniter. And he gave them a good 6-minute stretch where he looked like a damn near like a 6-man of the year candidate. He put up 23 points in 24 minutes. He was 9 of 9 from the free throw line. And he hit his threes, which is excellent. And he was always attacking the paint. He entered the game with 3:39 in the first quarter. And by the mid-second quarter, he had already scored 10 points. And he had drawn 3 shooting fouls. Pacers cut the 15-point deficit down to 5 in his shift. He had 9 reboundings, including 3 uncontested pulls against Matherin. Produced real juice off the bench. And this wasn't garbage time. It was when Indy needed him most. He cut double-digit deficits down to single digits. He was there for extended runs. And he was really the only one playing with any kind of sense of urgency when it comes to this game whatsoever. He was the only one that was like, hey, let's knock them out and get a bunch of rest. The rest of the team was like, New York's bench didn't just match the energy, it absorbed it. Hart, McBride, obviously the Delon Wright minutes worked out. They got some Precious Achiuwa minutes that they desperately needed. Hart logged 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He did not sit the entire second half. McBride also scored 11 points. So it was what it needed to be. Now, we will get to what we need to get to. Why did this happen? What went on? Why was this a 111-94 victory for the Knicks? What could they build off of this? What can they take with them in this situation? We will find out. We already talked about the Knicks' paint points that they scored, which were 60. So, obviously playing a more physical downhill style suits them. It's one of those things that, can it be repeated? Yes. Will it be hard to repeat on the road? Yes. But it can be done. And you have to commit to it. Now, Towns and Robinson bent the floor in different ways. Towns was obviously the floor spacer that they needed. But the physical presence down low of Mitchell Robinson, even though he's not this huge point getter or whatever, he kept balls alive. There were second chances because of him. And just because of his physical presence in that paint, just made it a lot more difficult on the Indiana Pacers. Now, Towns, he finished through contact. When he drove, Indiana had no deterrent. They will have to be more aggressive, because when you only score 34 points in the paint, especially as a team that wants to get out and run and push the rock down the court, to only have 34 points in the paint is terrible. It's not great. So the effort from the Indiana Pacers, we know they're going to come with the requisite amount of energy and also kind of like fear of, let's not let this go to a game 7. Because we all know what we think is going to happen if it gets to a game 7. It ain't good for Indiana. I know that. The margins in this game became messages. Again, Indiana was sloppy. 19 turnovers. We talked about this. The other thing is that they gave up points of their own structure. These weren't late clock chucks or anything like that. It wasn't the crispest offense. They just couldn't get a rhythm going. They couldn't establish anything. And it just looked like they were out of sorts. Hart and Brunson punished lazy passes. The Knicks protected the ball well. Now, they had stretches where they did not. There was a stretch in the third quarter where it got weird for a second. Not the game got close or anything like that. It was just, it got weird because both teams were throwing the ball all over the court and not valuing the basketball whatsoever. OKC would have had a field day with these people, because they would have been like, oh my God, they're not valuing basketball. We'll just have like 30 steals and it'll be great. The rebounding wasn't as bad as it looked. It was 45-40. So you say, well, where was Where was some of the hidden numbers at? Well, here it is. It's the 11 offensive rebounds by the New York Knicks, and then the 13 second chance points off of those. So I look at that type of situation and go, there it is. Then you got Karl-Anthony Towns getting 13 rebounds, good. You got Hart added 10. It's just absolutely a complete hustle, dude, no matter what. The effective field goal percentage for the Knicks in this game was 52.2%. Now, that's not like just completely fantastic or anything like that. Well, what it is, it just tells you what you're looking at as far as like execution of offense and what were some of the principles. Was Mitchell Robertson following, Jalen Brunson when he went to the hole so then he can clean up on dunks or, tip the ball out to 3-point shooters who were waiting, in the wings. These are all things we saw in this game. Brunson's shot mix of floaters, pull-ups, and deep threes, forced rotations every time. He got the Indiana Pacers into a blender, no question about it, and this is what you need to see. Because here's the thing. Quite as kept, the Knicks did not shoot it from deep great. They were only 8 of 29. But their shot selection was precise, and again, the second chance rebounds, that was absolutely killer to them. One team came in with an energized belief, and the other team came in with let's hope, and then that hope shortly dissipated, and then it was like, well, we're going to pack this in for game 6. So Indiana can tell us all what they want about they play hard and all this other stuff. We saw that on the tape that you kind of shut it down. And I don't blame you. I understand. I get it. Let's go home and let's try to see if we can figure it out here. Only problem is that you only get a finite, time to go ahead and put a team away. And if you give the Knicks and you give that fan base any oxygen to breathe, and they can breathe like belief into this group of Knicks, boy, man, you do not want a game 7 at MSG. I mean, I know the NBA wants a game 7 at MSG, but I'm thinking the fine folks of Indianapolis, Indiana, do not want a game 7 in Madison Square Garden. This is a great note by Soraya. If Indy wants to win, they got to contest without fouling. 30 shots to 51 shots between the two teams. So Indy had 30 shots at the rim. The Knicks had 51 of their shots at the rim. Ball security is non-negotiable for the Indiana Pacers. You got to take care of the ball. You got to take care of the basketball. And does Mathurin get a longer run in Game 6 now that he's produced? He seemed to have the energy. He seemed to have the want. I wonder if it will manifest itself in extra time come Game 6. As far as New York is concerned, they got to clean up the fouling. The 23 personal fouls, they gave the Indiana Pacers 29 free throw attempts. That has to stop. Karl-Anthony Towns can't be fouling like stupid things, just doing stupid fouls. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it. If you're going to foul it, with intention, somebody's going up for a basket and you don't want them to have a free, just a free basket or whatever the case may be, put them on the line. But the just fouling somebody coming through the lane and just pushing them off their thing and literally extending your arms to the fullest extent where it makes it so easy for the referee to call this foul. You know what I'm saying? You just can't do that. Keep up the defensive verticality. That's where Mitchell Robinson comes into play and the rest of the boys, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and things of that nature. Towns is peaking. Brunson is seeking doubles. Hart is holding connective tissue together. Those three guys need to continue to play the way they are playing. The Knicks do have a formula to win in Indiana. The problem is that can you execute it? Can you slow Indiana down just enough for them to have to think about their offense and get them in a half-court deal? Because as soon as the ball starts moving around, as soon as the movement, as soon as the cutting is instinctual and it's crisp again, the Knicks are in trouble. What does this say about what Game 6 is going to look like? I have no idea. No, that's not true. I do have a kind of an idea, and we're going to get to it right now. The Knicks squad just authored a blueprint at Madison Square Garden. Verticality, tempo, and defensive body blows. And the Pacers team needs its speed. They need to go ahead and throttle it up. They need to play with pace. They need to get that ball out of the hoop and go right down the court. And they need to get down there in like 4 seconds, to run the offense. This is a chessboard before the first move. For the Knicks, it's about discovering something new. It's about discipline. It's about repetition under pressure. Brunson play style in Game 5 just tilted Indiana's defensive map, forced reactive coverages, especially in transition. The paint touches, absolutely astronomical. Can they keep it up in Game 6? I don't know. Those are the things that you have to do if you want to continue to win. You have to put pressure on this defense of Indiana. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure that Andrew Nembhard stays in the gallows. He's been really less effective the last 3 games. Look at the numbers. If the Knicks don't foul and play with physicality and play with intentionality on defense, they can get this to a Game 7 and go to New York City and play that Game 7. If they are slow on rotations, if they're a split second late, the Pacers are going to have a field day with the New York Knicks. And it really just comes down to how much energy and how much do you want to give at this present time. Do you have it in your reserves to give? Because if you do, the Pacers have shown themselves to be excellent when the offense is beautiful. When the ball is moving, the cuts are being made, and everything like that. As soon as the game is muddied up, they don't like it. They don't care for it. And Halliburton and Nembhard struggled with on-ball pressures. They had few clean half-court initiations. Cue up the 19 turnovers. Game 6 isn't just about scheme. It's about the emotional first 6 minutes. Can the Knicks hold off that wave? Because Indiana exploded in Game 4 early at home and got the crowd super into it. They were confident, and then they basically walked the Knicks down for a win. In Game 5, New York opened with a 10-2 run and never looked back. So you can see the absolute differences. It was opposite day at MSG. Freaky Friday, however you want to put it, but opposite day sounds good to me. Indiana thrives on pace, and without clean outlook actions or turnovers, their engine stalls. And then you look at a team like the Knicks, and that team right there, they thrive in chaos. They thrive in the mud. They want to play in that style. And how much more physical impact can Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson make? They have been the unsung heroes of this team. They've been basically the glue, the connective glue that's held it together when it could just have fallen apart so easily. For God's sake, for the love of all things holy, can Karl-Anthony Towns stay on the damn court? Not get in foul trouble. Not create fouls 40 feet away from the hoop, or dumb fouls where you just sit there and just push a dude straight onto the ground. Like, you cannot do these things in Game 6. Game 6 is a mirror. It's not just about the talent, it's about the preparation that you put in. Can Tibbs or Rick Carlisle make the adjustments that need to be made, and will their teams adhere to those adjustments? Will the Pacers rediscover their system, or simply hope for energy? Whichever coach or whichever star or whichever bench unit solves the rhythm first, they'll earn what could be happening. Game 6 could be the end of the series, or we could be going on to Game 7. I don't know. But I love the way Halliburton and that offense is run. My whole thing is that once you get punched in the mouth, what's the game plan then? And I want to see that definitely you can still play your beautiful basketball, your movement, all those type of things. But we're going to need you to get dirty a little bit. We're going to need you to go into that lane, and yeah, you might take some hacks, you might take some fouls, you might take some physicality. But we kind of need you to go to the lane if you want to win and not push this and extend this to a Game 7. Now, we need to move on because we're going to talk a little bit about OKC, but not much. The reason why, and kudos to OKC for making the NBA Finals. I am thrilled that this team is there, but we literally have until next Thursday to talk about them. But I do want to say this. I think about how you felt watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the first time. Not the MVP of today. When I'm talking about the Kentucky SGA, the quiet glove fit, didn't even start the season, and now he's a top 5 guy with the patience of a monk and the kill switch of a lion. Shai was dominant in that game, and J-Dub was too. And it was all the depth issues that you know and love and understand. It was all the things that you could possibly want. And OKC had, so we kept on saying it, they had all the answers to all the questions that Minnesota could throw at them. And then they threw questions back at Minnesota that they had no answers for. So, what is this going to be about? This is going to be a quick sneak peek into where the Timberwolves are now. Not open for debate as far as what they have looming during the offseason. And could there be a way to augment this team to get Anthony Edwards, maybe another guy to help him? So, buckle up. Let's get to it. 124-94 in a closeout game. Game 5 against OKC. You're down 65-32 at halftime. What do you expect? The loss was traumatic for Minnesota and Minnesota sports fans. It was just a dominant victory by the OKC Thunder. They had 14 turnovers, and they were just never in this game. They were just completely absent. The effort from their star player or from their secondary people or whatever, they were listless, and it was apparent. So let's get to it. 2 straight Western Conference Finals. That's the bar. And the bar matters. This is a quote from Finch, the coach at Minnesota. He says, "We'll regroup. I'm proud of our guys and our organization." You know, the Conley, Finch, Edwards synergy rarely seen in Minnesota basketball history. So that's a good look there. Edwards is 23. He says, "I'll get to do this a whole bunch of times." Don't count your chickens before it's hatched, my guy. I'm sure Kevin Garnett thought the same thing, and it just never happened. I will say this for him: I don't know what that was in Game 5. I have no idea. But you could see just the energy just go down. It was, as soon as a couple of his guys didn't hit shots, like his aggressiveness started to wane. And that is something that you just can't have happen. Especially if you're the leader of this team. Especially if you think you are one of those top echelon guys. You know, we talk about the 6 or 7 that really make a difference in this league if they went from one team to another. You're like your fortunes have changed instantly on a dime. He is one of, Ant Edwards is one of those guys. I will not take that away from him. But the effort that you show in these games is monumentally important because your team will follow you wherever you go if you give them a reason to. And he did not do that. So what is going to happen now? Let's talk about what did happen. Gobert at times was unplayable on offense. OKC punished every possession he was involved in. Finch was outmaneuvered. Dagnall had counters. The Wolves did not. Randall faded. No one outside of Edwards created anything. That's true. And when your playoff hinges on one guy and the hope of Randall gets hot, you're already playing with tremendous fire. And you're just hoping not to get burned. Yeah, Minnesota lost the game, but they didn't look like Minnesota. It was almost like the Monstars had took the souls of NBA players and replaced it with whatever. These were just shells of themselves. It was a 1-2-3 Cancun type situation, no doubt, for the Minnesota Timberwolves in game 5. They were not happy to be there. Not happy at all. So this summer there are some choices to be made. Let's talk about them. Let's get right into it. Julius Randle is the first one. There's a player option for $31 million. A lot of people think this is the one where, we let him walk, get a little more like cap relief, whatever the case may be. Or do you turn Julius Randle into, hey, we're going to sign and trade you? Hopefully with that. And here's the thing with that. If you look at Julius Randle and you look at like Tobias Harris of last year, we would say that Julius Randle is a more talented player than Tobias Harris. But if you're a team that has struggled like the Detroit Pistons of 2 years ago, and then this year they made the playoffs, if you're a team that has been maligned in that way, a Julius Randle is a floor raiser. And given where he is in his career, I wonder if he would be able to find that in himself. That he would be a floor raiser and help a team that maybe had needed help on learning how to win as far as that's concerned. And he can still get you buckets and he can still get you rebounds and play that special style that he does play. My thing is that can the Timberwolves turn him into a return on investment and get something back for him? Or do they let him walk completely and it's just the penance that you have to basically swallow your medicine at this point for better days down the road? Minnesota Timberwolves fans, Wolves, hashtag Wolves Back Family, hit me up on Twitter at FrontRunnerPC or at our producer at Rhea_Funch FRPC. We would love to hear from you on your thoughts on Julius Randle. Is he a just let him go? Or do we sign and trade him and get pieces back that will help us? If not, well, hopefully this upcoming season coming up. Now, Naz Reid is a different story. Naz Reid, he's a great value for today. He's likely to opt out of his contract. I would wonder as far as what I think the Minnesota Timberwolves will try to match anything that is out there on him as far as that's concerned. I'll be interested to see what happens with that, because I think he's a piece that you got to keep. You got to keep him. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is one that is absolutely intriguing, because I think Minnesota can only pay him up to like $8 million just due to the contract structure. And with that being said, he's going to get way more on the open market. People have said like, hey, that could be 15 to 17 for that guy. I'm like, damn, for real? And they're like, yeah, he played himself into it. I'm like, wow, okay. Small sample size, albeit, but I believe in, who's telling me this information. So with that being said, it looked like Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be on the move. On the move. So, if you are a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, how would you like to see this offseason go? Who would you like to see them keep? Who would you like to see them use as, trade fodder or what have you? I would be interested to hear your thoughts on that. And whoever has some of the best thoughts, i.e. takes, will end up on the show. I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be awesome. We want feedback from you. Now, Anthony Edwards has proven that he is the guy, but right now he's carrying too much. Mike Conley turns 38 next season. You can't rely on him to generate primary offense or guard elite ones in playoff series. That's just too hard to ask. You're not beating elite West teams with a 38-year-old Mike Conley as your, backcourt mate to Anthony Edwards. I think that's a hard ask. I think you got to keep Dante DiVincenzo. You got to keep him there. I like keeping Naz Reid. But is there any way that you can turn Julius Randle into something? Maybe there's a trade, there's a trade exception and a player or whatever, and maybe a pick coming back. I don't know. But there has to be some team out there that has some money or whatever that would just say, hey, we'll be open to dealing with you and getting a guy that we wanted to acquire anyway. And, what do you want? So there's something there. Julius Randle did play well enough where you could go into the offseason thinking, like, I could turn this into something. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily meet the whole entire $31 million. If you can get one guy and he's like $15 to $17 million or whatever, you say like $14 million off your salary cap, that's fantastic. You done well. Now you can get picks on top of that. You're doing super well. You're doing great. Now, what happened if you took Julius Randle and Conley's expiring contract and maybe use one of the picks that you have, like the 2027 pick? What could you get yourself into then? Because here's the main thing that needs to be taken away from the Minnesota Timberwolves and their experience this year. Ant is an absolute supernova destroyer of worlds type of individual. You're good there. You got a lot of really interesting pieces. The problem is that you need a little more diversity on the offense, i.e. a good point guard that can score and create for others and himself. Or you need another dynamic wing to go with Jaden McDaniels. Now, the wings are harder to come by, just depending on what you're trying to do. But if there was something where you could run out Julius Randle, Mike Conley, that's about $42 million. Could that get you into something that you would be more than ecstatic about. But I would say personally, if you could like split it up into two and hopefully save some money in the meantime, that would be probably the best way of doing it. Is there some sort of Orlando Magic trade? Now I don't know if Orlando will want somebody super old like Mike Conley. No disrespect to Mike, he a young man at heart, but in basketball terminology, he is old, right? I don't think I'm saying anything that's out of turn there. Is there a backup role for him? Is there like a Phoenix situation where, there's, Kevin Durant coming to Minnesota for Mike Conley and Julius Randle? Yeah, throwing a young guy for that. I think our guy, Kevin, is making like 48, something like that. So maybe that might be something you can look into. With the cap and the constrictions that they have there has to be some sort of like creative ways that they can think about this. And I think with knowing that the ownership group is locked in now, and knowing that there's probably a good chance that you're going to be able to keep Tim Connelly, because A-Rod and Lori are the ones that brought him in the first place. So I hope that this just creates an opportunity for Ant Edwards to continue to compete, to continue to bang on the door at a NBA title. So we're looking forward to what they're going to be able to do in the off season. I personally think that there's something where you could do something with Conley's contract and you could do something with Julius Randle contract. Now you probably need to involve Julius in some way and where he wanted to go, but also, hey, this team's going to pay you, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, let's see. So I hope that is the case, because I don't think you're going to get like a Tyus Jones or Monte Morris and it's going to completely revolutionize your team. You got to get a real dude to help Anthony Edwards. A real guy. Score some points that people have some fear into. We shall see. The great thing about Minnesota is that they're not building anymore. It's finishing. They have a superstar. They have the infrastructure. But if they want to matter in May and into June, they got to sharpen the margins. Conley is a guide. Edwards is a rocket. And you need someone who can fly with them. This summer, is that their co-pilot out there? Does he get found? Or is this the same story that gets replayed 1 year later? Could be. But that's the case of it. That's what they're looking at. So, it is a feel-good Friday, right? We did say that we were going to talk about NBA draft. We said that we were going to give you some love on the NBA draft. We do not shirk our responsibilities. We are great when it comes to that. We want to help out. We want to be ninjas. Let's do it. Let's talk about the guards. So, I have 4 tiers of guards. We're going to talk about all of them. There's going to be somebody who overlaps with the wings in here, but I'm going to give that a guard spin to it and tell you why we put them in anyway. So, let's get to it. Let's start off with the first guard that should be coming off the board in the 2025 NBA draft that happens on June 25th. And that is none other than Rutgers freshman guard Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper, if he had a theme song, it would be something just spicy. At Rutgers, he wasn't just the initiator. He was in total control. He'd been defensive with intention and not speed. There's a quiet confidence that he uses in his angles of attacking defenders. And his handle It's not flashy, but it is surgical. And here's a note from Soraya. Harper averaged 5.4 assists with a 2.8 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. I love that. Without NBA spacing. He also shot 68% at the rim. Most of it was self-created. The questions about him, they're fair. His pull-up has a hitch in it. His isolation pop isn't elite. But there is a way about him. How can I put this? He looks like a supersized Jalen Brunson. He knows how to play the game. Harper, when you want to teach an organization how to think about the game, the best version of him is Jalen Brunson with 15 extra pounds and probably about 6 inches. The Spurs, the Raptors are teams that would love to have him, but the Spurs are going to get him because they got the number 2 overall pick. Does this still mean Giannis is coming to San Antonio? Will it be Antetokounmpo in Gotham? Will it be Antetokounmpo in the Bay? We'll get to this a little bit later, but I thought I'd just throw that out there. That's our Antetokounmpo minute for the San Antonio Spurs. At least the Spurs aren't as thirsty as another franchise out there. Oh my God. I know it's a different sport, but has anybody been paying attention to what the hell has been going on in Pittsburgh about the Steelers? They out here like singing like 90s R&B songs and shit. They sound like Color Me Bad out here. Just crying for Aaron Rodgers. You don't see San Antonio worried about that. They got Wemby. They got the number 2 overall pick. You know what I'm saying? They got some stuff. So they are not out here crying for Antetokounmpo. The second guard on my list might be a little more controversial. It is the guard out of Texas, Trey Johnson. Now, here's the thing that I want to say about Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson moves like someone who always been told, you got the green light. He's a shooter. Most definitely. But it's the type of shooter that changes the court geometry. The handle is more functional than it is dazzling. I will say that. But it gets him to his spots. And those spots, they're deep, they're varied, and they're very unpredictable. Soraya's note, his shot chart from this past year looks like a Jackson Pollock painting, but 39.7% from 3 on high volume equals real gravity. There ain't truer words been said right there. And if Harper is the conductor, or if he's like basically the person that just is the puppet master of the offense, Johnson is a soloist. The fear with Trey is his shot selection. Not just what he takes, but when he takes them. It is very reminiscent of D'Angelo Russell. It's very reminiscent. But if he can scale his game into a rhythm-based system, or is he Jamal Crawford with more shoulders? I don't know. Here's what I do know, because Soraya makes me smarter every single day. Here is one of the best stats about this kid. Only 80 rim attempts in 33 games. That's less than 2.5 a game. He settles for the jumper by default. He's going to have to vary his attack when he comes into the league, no doubt. He is going to have to vary that attack. Because if they know you're just going to shoot from outside, oh my God, trust and believe. And that's where the defense will attack you. Now, if you believe in the spacing, Johnson's ready-made scoring release valve, he's hero with more ISO creation. Give him a second side role. He might cook year one. But he going to have to get to the hole. He going to have to get to the hole. Now, speaking of somebody getting to the hole, VJ Edgecombe was in our wing draft preview, but I also wanted to put him here. And the reason why, obviously, is because he's 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan. He has a 41-inch vertical. He has a legit two-way frame. But the most important thing is that I don't know if he's capable of being an NBA league guard. I'm not sure. There were flashes last year. And most draft heads will sell you that Edgecombe is a slasher. But watch 2 quarters of tape. It hits different. He's a defender first, big shoulders, angry closeout, relentless second efforts. What excites me is this. He's developing the scoring in reverse. Most kids are taught to shoot before they know how to fight through a screen. VJ is the opposite. And yeah, his handle is raw. His reads can lag. But if he ever gets even league average on his pull-up, he becomes Anthony Edwards light because he's so phenomenally physically gifted. And he plays defense with a conscience. If the handle gets tighter, if the decision maker gets a little bit better, if he gets on-ball reps, if he's with a team that allows him to fail, dude, by year 3, this is going to be a real problem what this kid can do. Because he got some serious ups, and he does kind of remind me a little bit of Ant. Not like, listen, you got to squint real hard to see it. Because Ant comes in just bravado, just like, yo, dude, I can do anything. He really does believe that. He really believes that he can do anything. VJ doesn't have that type of, confidence, but it's more stoic. It's brewing underneath the surface. He does believe that he is best player in this draft, no doubt. And that's with Cooper Flag in it. So keep that in mind. VJ Edgecombe is one of them dudes. And I think he's going to get it. I just want to know that he gets the opportunity to get on ball, and let's see what happens. Now, I will say this about the 3 guards that we just talked about. Harper, depending on what happens in San Antonio and who's there, who's not there, will depend on how much time and reps he gets. Trey might end up starting off the bench or whatever case may be, but he could be a starter by year's end, just depending on what he's able to do on the defensive end, and also will he be able to change not his shot diet, but maybe kind of calibrate his shot diet where he's not taking like early shot clock situations where nobody's down on the other end of the court to rebound for him. Check this out. This is from Soraya, development timeline reality check. Average all-star guards take 2.8 years to hit their full starter role. What you see in October isn't what you'll see in year 3. And that's the rub. Because we're going to see, because this is the hardest league in the world for a guard to come into. It's very rare that a guard comes in and goes, yep, I'm here. It's time for me to start taking over, start doing all the things I know how to do, and bust people's ass and all this sort of thing and whatever. It is not so easy to do in the NBA. There's so much nuance to it. You got to get others involved. You got to make sure you're doing the things you need to do. You got to play defense. You got to be an extension of the coach on the floor. There's so much that goes on, and these kids' heads are spinning out of control. And let's also talk about the quiet thing that we don't talk about out loud. College coaches now are not into developing players like they used to. They are coming into a system, fitting into a system that the coach has set up, and then they're moving that player along to the pros or whatever the case may be. The days of saying, okay, we're going to start working on your jump shot, and by year 2, your jump shot is going to be crispy. Nope, that is now saved for the league. You got to have a good shooting coach. You got to have a good structure. You got to have a good plan to put in place for this young man, because they are not getting these type of tutelages in the college system whatsoever. So keep those in mind. So if a guy like Dylan Harper or Trey Johnson or even VJ Escombe comes out the gate, and they come out the gate slow, it's not time to give up on them. It's not time to worry about it. And the reason why we can say this with a lot of confidence is I submit to you Kobe White. Kobe White came out of college. We thought, oh man, this is lightning in a bottle. He's definitely going to hit, blah, blah, blah. We go through 3 years and we don't know. We have no clue. Then he kind of turns it on the 4th year, and then this year it looked incredible. So sometimes development is not linear. Sometimes development is very up and down, and it's varied on where you go, how you're nurtured, and what kind of opportunities you get. So keep those things in mind when we're talking about draft prospects. Now, the second tier guards, tier 2 is where the real draft work lives. These aren't clean evaluations. These are bets on vision. These are guards who need time, system, and trust. But if they hit, man, they hit big usually. And here's a note from our girl Soraya. Historically, over half the all-star guards came from outside the top 7 pick. Tier 2 isn't a drop-off, it's a developmental runway. And let's get into the development. And the first guy that we want to talk about is Kasparas Jakučiūnas. Now, he is the freshman out of Illinois. He is a wizard with the basketball, and you're going to love him. If Halliburton was the guy in Severance, played by Adam Scott, his game is all tempo. He doesn't race you. He guides you, right? He averaged over 6 assists. He only had 2.6 turnovers a game. So it was like a little bit over 2-to-1 ratio. His eyes stay 2 passes ahead. He doesn't need to score 18 a night to dominate a possession. Jakučiūnas is layered pass fakes, mid pick and roll like he's been watching Ginobili tape on slow motion since birth, like through osmosis. Now the downside to him is that you can, his name is Jakučiūnas. So what do you think is the downside to him? Well, we don't know if he has real legit explosivity. He can't break you down without a screen. And he is the second highest turnover rate among high pick and roll usage guards. But the feel is rare. So think of this. Tomas Satoransky's floor, Kobe White's presence. If this hits, you got a Halliburton light with European discipline. He fits into systems that have dual distribution handlers. the Houstons, the San Antonios, the Utahs of the world. I think before whatever Sacramento had going on, I don't know what their philosophy is now with the new coaching regime and what have you. But Valanciunas is a wizard with the basketball, and I also think that what you saw with some of the turnovers that he had is the teammates that he played with. You know, some of these dudes aren't going to be as clean of a prospect that you're dealing with too. You know, so you're kind of codependent on the team that you were with. And he didn't have a bunch of like sick athletes, jump out the building athletes. Like if Valanciunas was down in Houston or whatever the case may be, oh my God, the things that he would have been able to do with those cats would have been phenomenal. But he was in Illinois, so there was a little bit lack of talent there. That, you know, there were probably passes that were a little more advanced for the type of teammates that he had. Let's just put it that way. Now, here's one of my favorite dudes in the draft, not because it's like my favorite guy, but it's his talent and his tape intrigues me so much. And this is Jeremiah Fears. Jeremiah Fears was getting crazy buzz early on. There was talks of like top 10 potential and things of that nature. Fears plays like he's seen the lane before. And you blink, the first step, nuclear, rim pressure, best in class. He's a usage leader for the season. Freshman at Oklahoma, pulling every string with confidence, but his biggest strength is also his biggest flaw. He plays fast, and sometimes he plays reckless. Fears only shot 28.4% from deep. The footwork is there. The timing, spotty. Still, foul drawing looks jaw adjacent when he's going downhill. And that's pretty. Now, he matures and the shot comes around. This could be De'Aaron Fox. This could be what we thought Dennis Smith Jr. was going to be. So what's the play here? Draft him to a franchise that is less full. Then catch him like in Washington, Toronto, somewhere that he knows that there's a second contract might be the real win. Because you might not be able to see what you're going to need to be able to see for a couple years. Strength is going to come into play. Decision making is going to come into play. Are you going to be able to value the basketball? Those type of things. Because if he gets it, this could be special. This could be special. Now, speaking of special, we go to our guy from BYU. Igor Denham. Igor Denham, this is like a Giddy type, sorta, but there's some shit to him. I like this kid. Denham isn't your typical off-ball connector. He's a primary guy. He won't just shoot, and that's the gamble. He throws darts with either hand. He plays angles like Jokic in slow motion. But his three-point percentage, under 19, it's not just bad. It's almost undraftable. And you're saying, well, why is he a person that you are very interested in? Because even though he can't separate off the bounce, he plays two upright. He anticipates everything. Like, oh, he has answers for you. This is what makes him draftable. You can't teach his IQ. If he learns to shoot, or even just finish through contact, he becomes Point Turkaloo at point guard. Yeah, Point Turkaloo he do. You know what I'm saying? This is like a OKC wet dream come to life. Dallas would love this guy. Cleveland would love this guy. Teams with structure who need pass first, low ego creators, for sure. He needs a good shock doctor. Somebody needs to get him a good shot doctor. Okay, I'm letting you know right now, the shot is not broken, but damn sure it don't look great. He gonna need to get some stuff fixed and just all taken care of. Just saying. The next group is tier 3. Now, tier 3 is your, only 6% of college tournament stars play more than 18 minutes per game in their rookie season. The leap from guy to the guy to a guy is real. It's gonna be challenging, but there's a couple guys in here that we need to talk about. And the first guy that we need to talk about is America's darling, the guy who captured the imagination of everybody in the tournament, and that's Walter Clayton Jr. of Florida. He can run all day like Steph Curry, off screens, off horns, off in corners. He lives in motion. He shot over 42% from 3 last season, and he's not just a catch and shoot dude. He's a relocation, deep bombs, quick fire, and this is a gravity guy. He's only one of 3 guards in this class to shoot over 40% from deep on 6+ attempts and generate more points off screens than on ball. That is fantastic. So he understands system. He understands, okay, this is what we do. Whatever, pick and roll. You can see a lot of inverted pick and rolls with him. The one thing that you know about Walter Clayton Jr. is that, yes, he can shoot from regular platform, but he can shoot off platform. We saw it all through the tournament. This dude is a big shot maker. Not just a big shot taker. No, he's a big shot maker because a lot of them go in. He reminds me of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, which you might know him as Chris Jackson. He played for LSU. He also played for Denver in the NBA or whatever. But go look up some YouTube Chris Jackson a la Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf film and tell me if this ain't. Now, here's the thing. The handle is different, okay? But I'm talking about the shot making, okay? Shot making for our guy, Walter Clayton Jr. is awesome. I think he does have a chance of making it. Look for teams like Milwaukee, Denver, Phoenix who need instant offense. That would be the type of situation where I could see him going to. Now, we need to talk about our guy, Nolan Traore. And I was high on him early because I love the field. But, man, you got to shoot it better, my guy. You got to shoot it better for me to really feel you, okay? But the flashes, the flashes. The tight pick and roll reads, the left to right burst, the natural rim pressure he puts on. It's like a mixtape, but occasionally he thinks like a veteran. But here's the problem. Only 30% from 3. Only 30% from 3. He created 1.07 points per possession in pick and roll, though. That's top 5 among Euro under 19 guards. It's pretty sweet. The catch is he's 19 and he plays like it. He leaves his feet too early. He gambles on defense and can't guard without fouling yet. But you're drafting instincts. You're drafting possibility. You're drafting to put him in the G League, and then hopefully he will learn some things by year 3. Hopefully. Our guy Cam Jones from Marquette, 6'5" guard. He was built to score in bunches. This is definitely a dude that I can see being part of a rotation, an 8-man rotation. He can help you. You don't teach his shot diet. You barely survive it. His confidence could power a small city. In college, he was the guy. In the NBA, you're the bench guy who comes in, changes the momentum, and then sits back down. He shot 35.5% from deep on 8 attempts. 60 of his makes were unassisted. Pure self-creation. Let you know what Marquette was all about last year. NBA guys love Cam if they can accept the you're not the starter life. Think Cam Thomas. Think microwave Vinny. Think less twitchy Gordon Clarkson. He can win you on Tuesday night in February, but will he play defense? Will he rotate? That's the contract test. I think he's going to be able to play in the league for a long period of time. It will be, can he just adjust to his new surroundings and what his position on the team will be. So role acceptance will be key for my guy. And that's the hardest part of the league, is you go from 24 shots a night to 8. When your job is to take the right shot, not just a shot. Clayton, Traore, and Cam Johnson, 3 very different types of guards, but the challenge is still the same. Shrink the ego, expand the efficiency, and you have a chance to make it in this league. I think Walter, he can play 15 minutes off the bench for a playoff team right now. Maybe even more in April. Nolan Traore is basically 2 years away from being viable. And I think that Cam Jones is one of those guys that could really be like a Austin Reeves type. He could really surprise us. I think that he has a chance of making it in the league if he understands what he kind of needs to do. Now, we get to the end of this, which is great, because these are the true dart throws. But there's some guards in here that I really like, and I want to spotlight them before we get up out of here. And, Tyrese Cracker of Duke. He played a long time at Duke. And here's the thing. Duke's offense rating jumped 7.2 points when Proctor was on the floor this season. That just tells you all you need to know about this kid is that he can help you. He can help you. If he gets into the right situation, he can help you. Because he's 6'5", he's kind of skinny, whatever case would be, like 185 pounds. But the shot is for real. It is 100% for real. I think it just depends on where he goes. Can he get to the right spot? But I love Tyrese. I love Tyrese Cracker. I think he can definitely play in this league. And that also goes for our guy, Hunter Salas, out of Wake Forest. Hunter Salas has that March hero energy. He'll score you 14 in a quarter, clap in your face on the next possession. There's a lot of confidence in him. He's not cocky, but he's certain. He can get downhill. He doesn't just try to score. He expects to score. He put up 23 on Duke. He put up 25 against Florida. So against real NBA caliber defenders. And he wasn't scared of the moment at all. He competes on both sides, both ends. He has enough lift to finish through contact. And he doesn't get lost off ball. If he tightens up the jumper, he's going to be a rotation guy. I would love for him to be a Laker. But Memphis, Portland, Boston, I would not want him to go to Boston. But they could use a guy like this. It all makes sense. He's the kind of guy who starts as a matchup problem and grows into a guy who you can trust on both sides of the court. Now, Chaz Lanier of the Tennessee Volunteers. Here's a guy whose shooting is not theoretical. This dude's jumper already league ready. 44% from 3, NBA range for show. Deep relocation chops for show. And here's the stat that Soraya pulled up. This is the one that I want to give her the most credit for. And shouts out to Soraya. I got something to say, but let me give you this. Let me give you this stat. Only 7 guards in his class scored more points off screens than Lanier. That's real spacing value. And again, I say this. Soraya, man, the amount of work that we put into these pods, and people have asked, well, why doesn't Soraya talk on the mic? One, Soraya has told me this. So I'm not speaking for her on this one. She has actually said this to me. She likes to keep her anonymity. 2, the other thing is that she came from a different genre. You know what I'm saying? She did she did stuff like the true crime stories and things of that nature. So she's getting her feet wet, but she really loves basketball and she's really getting into it. And she loves just the deep research of all of it. But she is not going to get on this mic and then have y'all clown her. She's like, no. I'm going to get these takes off in a controlled environment and keep them guessing. So, there it is. You heard it from the woman. Or you heard it from me, but those are her words. Now, the best part of Chaz Lanier is this. He doesn't need the ball. He doesn't want the ball. He wants to space, catch fire, and run back on D. This dude is a sniper of the highest order. Golden State, Phoenix, OKC, Lakers, Sacramento, Clippers, any Eastern Conference team, like Detroit, would love to have them. Now, the next 2 guys are Javon Small and Ryan Nembhard. The ISO pocket knife dude is Javon Smalls. He lives in the crevices of the shot clock. He's got a mid-clock juice, late-clock calm. He has a go-to floater that feels like something he has had since the 10th grade. What I love about him is that he's not selfish. He just knows how to get to his spots, use his shoulders like a vet, slows down in the lane like he's baiting you, and then, boom, there it is, shot up. It's going to be great. He had a 2.3 to 1 assist to turnover ratio on a bottom tier offense. He's making good decisions under pressure without stars around him. He's going to get you buckets. He'll get your offense into rhythm. He is your second unit point guard when the starters need to rest, especially in places like Utah, Chicago, or San Antonio. Now, Ryan Nembhard is the brother of Andrew Nembhard. He is the mini maestro that we all come to love. He is special because he is so solid. He gets you in the sets. He hits the extra pass. And every coach on earth will love him by day 3 of training camp. And here's the stat that Soraya has. 3.9 assists. 1.1 turnovers per game. So damn near 4 to 1 assists to turnover ratio. That's a system brain with 2 feet on the ground. This dude is instant offense for you. This is Tyus Jones reincarnated but smaller, like a pocket Tyus Jones. And if he doesn't get swallowed up by the defense, he can probably have like an 8-year career in the NBA. That's just my thoughts on it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you, but that's my thoughts on him. These guards won't move the needle on the draft board, but they will make good teams better. And that's what we want, right? That's all we want from the 4th tier guys. Fit, trust, and IQ. One of them will be a starter at some point. Maybe somebody gets hurt, whatever the case may be. Someone will get picked while there's a Taco Bell add-on. And then we'll be looking back and be like, he went behind this dude, and this dude. So we've gone through all the 4 tiers. Guards who could lead franchises, guards who might sneak into lineups, scorers, shooters, connectors, and creators. And now we zoom out. Let's talk about what it really is. The draft isn't just scouting. It's basically architecture. You're not just picking stats. You're drafting for futures. You're drafting for what could be. You're asking what this guy could become. And are we the ones who can get him there? And every person who makes draft evaluations are certain they have the elixir to fix whatever ails this kid. But I will always say this. Development is not linear at all. There's a lot of up and downs. And also, we have no idea what's in this person's heart, what's in this person's mind, whatever the case may be. So, when we are looking at a guy and going, well, it's just not working out. It's just not working out. Again, I bring your attention to guards like Kobe White. I bring your attention to other guards that who come on, after a while as far as that's concerned. Remember, there was a real debate about Steph Curry and Monte Ellis. Could you imagine that? Now, I know this is a long time ago for some of y'all, but there was a real debate, like year 3 of Steph Curry. Was Steph Curry going to stay, or was Monte Ellis going to stay? So there's a lot of people giving up on guards very quickly, and then if you hold on to your patience, if you can hold your water for just a little bit longer, you get blessed with some crazy stuff. See Steph Curry. With that being said, I think we can get out of here. We can go ahead and tell y'all we love y'all. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your support. Please be a friend. Tell a friend about the podcast. Also, there will be a blog, which is the second side experience that I always talk about on these podcasts. Keep that in mind as well. Go to frpc.podcastpage.io. Go up to the right hand side corner. There's like 3 little lines. Hit that, click on that. There's a drop down menu, blog. The first blog on there should be the blog that's attached to this podcast, right? For the second screen experience. So we want to make sure y'all get on that for sure. So without further ado, you guys have a tremendous, Friday, and then have a tremendous weekend. And with that being said, the best part of you is you. Make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who are exhibiting behaviors that are supportive to you, that uplift you, that take care of you when you're down, that are reassuring you that, sometimes this is just a season and things happen for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And then if you have people like that in your life, make sure to always acknowledge them, appreciate those who are giving that kind of love. Make sure that you're texting them. Make sure you're calling them or FaceTiming them or whatever. Go out for lunch, whatever. Do that. Because when you are having support that is backed by love, it just hits different. And If it's hitting different for you, you know what I'm saying? That's great. That's all love. So, with that being said, we up out of here. Thanks to Saraya. Thanks to everybody behind the scenes. And we will see you on this channel on Tuesday. Deuces.